It's better looking on my feet.
Okay. All right. So Dennis, it's been a couple of weeks since we've seen each other, and I know that we did a lot of great things last time we got to talk, but this time you took the time to fill out the emotional well-being wheel for me, which is really, I absolutely love, because you are doing so great. To me, it looks like in every area of your life. So we've got 30 minutes, okay, and I want to go over this, and then I'm going to ask you a question after that, okay? So I love the fact that you rated yourself a 10 with holistic nutrition, because, as you know, like, holism is everything from our mind, our body, our spirit. So I love that you've made so much progress with everything that you're doing, that's where you're at. So I also noticed that in your emotional well-being and your spiritual well-being, you gave yourself a 7.5. So can you tell me, with either one of those, let's talk about your emotional well-being. Why did you rate yourself a 7.5 instead of a 10 or a 9?
Well, recently, I'm going through with my mom and her issues with Alzheimer's. It drives me crazy sometimes. I should be a lot more patient. I need to learn how to calm down. Because, 21 phone calls a day asking me the same question, and eventually goes, I get upset, and I shouldn't. I know I'm not supposed to. So some of those things get to me.
I can see that that's frustrating when somebody does, like, repeats themselves over and over, and you know that there's no difference. Like, she doesn't know.
I know I'm supposed to be stronger. I know I'm supposed to be the one not saying the things sometimes that I say, but eventually I just break, and it gets to me.
Yeah. Feelings like the repetitiveness and the not remembering.
Frustration.
And the frustration builds up frustration in you, so that it seems like what you're saying is that it's frustrating you, so it's just coming out, even though you know it's not supposed to. It does.
There's a point, yeah.
So how would you see yourself with your mom, like, getting over that hump? Is there somebody that can help you?
Well, we're trying to get her in some new programs to where she actually has something to do during the day, which hopefully works for my stake, because I'm the only one in the family she really calls all day.
So it seems like that weighs heavy on you.
Oh yeah.
But
my daughter's staying with her right now so that I don't receive the phone calls. It's the only reason that phone's not going off. And it fluctuates. Some days she's good, some days it's 21, 23, 25 phone calls. Some days it's 7. Then I wonder what's going on, and I call her. Everything okay? Yeah. So it's starting to getting tiring.
So that's tiring, and I mean, bless your daughter. That's awesome that she's there to help you, so that you can get away,
right,
and take some time to yourself with your friends. So these programs that you're getting her into, what are those?
This one's like, well, we call it adult daycare, but it's something where she's going to be able to go and be with people and do projects. She likes to do the knitting and the quilting, and they have programs like that where she can go do that during the day, and somebody comes and picks her up and takes her there, and she may meet some new friends and have something to talk about besides just sitting around the house and not getting the remotes to work, or losing where she put her medications, or the things she loses every day.
So I feel like that probably is what adds to your frustration, is when you get those little calls that are like repetitive or that kind of thing, but yet the adult daycare, which is more of a thing to keep her going and interactive, occupied, is going to fill that time to maybe free something up for you, so that
For
that's
me,
not always.
but I think it's going to
there.
help her too, which is what I really worry about. Just making sure she's okay.
So you're really worried about your mama.
Mm-hmm. I'm the only one. Well, me and my kids. That's it.
So, what are you hoping for this to bring out for her and for you?
Well, you got to remember, she used to be an executive vice president. She worked all the time, and she was accountant. Every day she did numbers and meetings and da, da, da. She has nothing now. It's got to weigh heavy on her brain. She has nothing to think about. Nobody to talk to. No emails to answer. No filing to do. No. Drives her crazy. So I think if she gets into a program where she can start doing stuff, not to be held accountable. So she can't work anymore because she's held accountable. She can't make mistakes. But there, I think she can make mistakes and everybody's okay with it.
So with this program, what are you most excited for her about?
Having some new people to talk to.
That's a good thing.
So we'll see.
Well, I think it's going to go great, and I'm happy for you. Happy for you both. So with the time that we have, what's like something, whether it's your mom that you want to talk about, or is there something else that's happening that you want to spend the rest of this time going over?
I'm pretty good.
You're doing good?
I've come to the realization of where I'm at, that I'm okay with me, where I am. I'm happy. And if somebody else comes in my life by accident, that's great. But I'm not looking for anything. I make sure I'm okay. My kids are okay.
So it sounds to me like your kids are super important. Obviously, your kids are really
Family
important.
is.
Family is important. But you're also saying that you're good with yourself and where you're at, and if somebody was to come into your life, that would be great. If it doesn't happen, that's whatever, but if it does, do you want to tell me a little bit more about that? Where you are relationally, like just yourself?
I don't have any relationships. I've had a relationship, but I haven't had one in 6 years, 5 years. And I always wished I had one, and I always looked for that. I wondered why, and trying to find it, but now I realize it's okay. I don't need that. You have to be good with who you are.
Can you tell me more about that? Being good with who you are?
Right. I do my motorcycles, I do my painting, and I just go home and I'm fine going to my room and watching TV and getting up in the mornings, doing my stuff and not having to worry about it. And I belong to a men's organization, and they're all they do is sit and talk about their wives and this issue and that issue and the argument and how to get through that. I'm like, I'm good, you guys. All I do is, I'm just me. If the broom's not clean, it's because I didn't do it. If I didn't cook dinner, it's because I didn't do it. I don't have to worry about anybody else. I'm happy. So I get to listen to them complain, and I just smile because I'm okay. That's what I mean by being good for me, where I am.
What are you most satisfied with then in your life? If you sound like you're good, what are you most satisfied with?
Because I'm really trying to work on my health, my weight, supplements, exercise, racing, working out. Most people wouldn't think I'm 60 years old because I'm out there doing what 20-year-olds do. And I'm happy about that. I'm fine.
So it sounds like I know that racing is important to you. Tell me about racing and what about that brings you joy, happiness?
Very competitive. Always been competitive all my life. And when I was 55, I started racing speedway bikes, which is probably one of the more dangerous ones. But I never hadn't done it. I just wanted to do it. I went out, bought a motorcycle and started doing it. And then my grandson got older, and I bought him a little bike to see if he wanted to ride a motorcycle. Once I realized he did, I quit racing the speedway and I bought motocross bikes last year. And I thought I could just do trail riding and stuff. Got into racing like 3 months after I bought the bike. And this year I'm really working on focusing on what I need to do to win the points championship for my age group and my skill level. And so far I'm leading in that this year. I have 7 more races to do and I should win the championship in my age group. And I'm 12th overall out of 138 other people in the overall points. My second, I didn't even do a full year last year. This is my first full year back in it. So, and my energy level's good. And that's all the stuff I strive for and worked on, is making sure my energy level's good. I don't get tired and I don't get, strong mentally and physically. That's it. And I'm good with that.
Yeah. So it sounds like to me, it sounds like you're competitive. Like you said, you are competitive. So it sounds like you're competitive. What drives that in you?
I've got to be good. No matter what I do, I try to do the best at it. It's kind of my competitiveness. It doesn't matter if it's motorcycles. Art, for instance, I try to be good at it. Running, when I ran my marathons, I did it to the best of my ability.
That's something. Tell me about. We talked about that before, but tell me about your marathons. Tell me about where you've been.
I've been to, let's see, New York Marathon. First year I got in the lottery, I got in. Some people wait years to get in the lottery, to win the lottery, to be able to be part of it. Unless you're part of a club or something like that, then you get put in a hat. And there's only so many thousands of people get pulled out of the hat to be part of the marathon. I won the first year. I became part of it. So I traveled everywhere: Tennessee, Virginia, New York, all up and down the West Coast, Midwest, running stupid little marathons, meeting people, flying out there by myself, meeting people, and still have friends to this day that I met running 26.2 miles, and just was done with it, quit.
So
I did what I wanted to do. I did what I went out to achieve, and just was satisfied then.
And achieving, what was it that you wanted to achieve? Was it running marathons or?
Okay, here's my competitive side. First time I did it, I ran 7 the first year because my friend said I could, so I believed him. And then the next year, I started thinking about because you're doing the rock and roll marathons, they say things like only 1/3 of the world's population will ever run a marathon. Not even that, I forget what the rate is. And then I thought to myself, how many do 12 in 1 year? Okay, there's probably not that many people, world population, actually run 12 marathons in 1 year. So I did that just so I could say I did.
It's a community.
So it was for my own self, for me, to do something that most 99% of the world's population won't ever do.
Can you tell me about just what feeling that evokes in you, why you wanted to do that? I know that you just said because 99% of the world's population won't do that, but what is it that...
Pride that I could actually do it. That I could pull it off.
Can you tell me about that pride?
Well, if you ever know anything about runners, it's all self-mental succeed. You're not going to win something. You're just making it to the finish line. And I'd listen to people talk about it. Oh, I'll do the best you can, honey. If you can't finish, we'll be there to pick you up. So no, don't ever let them quit. If they have to walk across that finish line, if they have to crawl across that finish line, then they've succeeded in it. If you let them quit, they'll never succeed in anything in their life. They'll think they can just quit and be okay with it. No, you have to finish what you start. And I'd coach people, and I'd actually run with them to get them across that finish line. That's it. You got to finish it to get your medal to say you did it. That's it. If you didn't, well, I always tried, then you're going to be satisfied with try. That's not good enough.
I love that. I run too, so I did, and so I understand that. So with your running then, when that came about, when you were doing that, what brought you the most satisfaction?
The most fun I had
Yeah.
was landing and meeting people and getting ready and going to it, and then the end. Running it was kind of fun. You know, New York Marathon, you run through all the boroughs and you see different people along the way, and it's kind of fun. Some of them are pretty boring. You're out in the middle of nowhere half the time. Vegas is pretty boring. You go through Old Town and downtown, and then you go up into neighborhoods. And you run your way back through town again. It all depends.
So what is it that kept you going when you were doing it that year that you were doing
12.
it?
The number 12.
The number 12. What does that mean to
One
you?
a month. But I didn't get one a month. At the end of the year, I had to do 2 every month because they didn't have them in the middle of the year. I didn't realize that when I started.
What did that do to you?
It kicked my ass. Do 2 marathons a month. Some guys will do 1 every other weekend. I mean, these people are nuts. I thought I was crazy. There's people that do them every weekend. I actually was trying to do it back to back, which is run a marathon on Saturday and then run one on Sunday. And I had the opportunity. I signed up for both of them, but I couldn't get the ride to the first one, which was in Death Valley on Saturday, and then Vegas on Sunday. So I flew into Vegas and my ride that was supposed to take me to the Death Valley one didn't show. And it was too late in the day to get out there. Otherwise I would have had a back-to-back.
And so how many of those did you do that
None.
way?
That was going to be the only one. But I did do 1 every 2 weeks for about 2 months, 3 months, almost 3 months. So I could get my 12.
And how long ago was that again that you did that?
I was 05 and 06.
Okay.
Long
And you've
enough.
maintained a lot of those relationships with people, friends?
Some of
like
them.
that?
Yeah, over the years, yeah, you kind of lose it, but
And what did that lead into next for you? The marathon running.
nothing really until I started riding motorcycles again.
Okay.
I didn't have any other passion. I started doing a lot of painting. That was back when I started art, and I was painting a lot in between. And then I needed something. And I found myself with enough money to go buy a motorcycle and go race speedway.
Okay.
Hence bucket list racing. That's why we came up with that word. It's on my bucket list.
And bucket list racing is what?
The team that me and my grandson have. It's what I named my motorcycle team when I started racing with the speedway bikes. Because they were doing the covers for my bike, and it was like, what do you want to name? You gotta have something on here besides just this. Bucket. It's your bucket list. It was on my bucket list, and my daughter goes, "Oh, bucket list racing." That's how I came up. So that's how I started it. There's somebody knocking on the door.
It is. Housekeeping.
Can we take a break?
Yep. Let's.
Hold on. Hold on. Coming. We're good. No worries.
No,
worries.
tomorrow?
Tomorrow. I'll be done tomorrow, so I'll be good.
Hotels, people?
I'm good. No, everything's good.
Is it okay?
No, no
Bye.
worries.
Yay. So I want to go back to one thing first, and then I want to talk more about if you're okay with this. I want to talk about your art.
Okay.
Okay. I want to talk about that because I know a little bit about it, but
Right.
I want to hear more about that. I want to hear what took you into art. What made you what brought that about in your life?
I did it when I was in high school, 1 semester. Painted like 8 paintings. And I had that motorcycle racing or art in high school. You're a kid. Am I going to get the art scholarship? But the guy said I could probably get. Well, I'm going to race motorcycles. I want to race motorcycles, of course. He wants to be an artist. So then when I had a girlfriend 2001, 2002, I told her I painted in high school. So what'd she get me for Christmas? A paint set and a canvas. And I started painting again. And then I went from that to bigger canvases, and I started painting and gave them to my friends. And it brought a lot of, if you've done art, sometimes I would sit back and look at it and go, how in the hell did I do that? Creating it. That I could figure out how to brush and colors and to do what I did. I'd never been taught, never took school, never went to school about it. Nobody ever told me what to do. I just did it. And I would figure it out until I got it. But now I have kind of a way I do it. I kind of know what I'm doing now. But in the beginning, I make that cloud look like a cloud. It was crazy doing it without reading a book or anything, just doing it, looking at that and making it go over here on a piece of paper or canvas.
So it sounds like when you're doing art, it's almost like you're in a flow state,
Mhm.
like you're just flowing through things, and you're saying that you sit back and you look and you think, how did I make that cloud or the sky that color, whatever it is that you do. But can you tell me about that process, because that's really interesting. Like, it says a lot about the inside of you. Can you tell me more about that process that you go through?
Yeah, well, it's music. I have my headphones on, and somebody was explaining it to me once, that my mind goes so fast. I'm always thinking so far ahead. Like, if I start talking, that I forget words in between because my mind's already gone past what I can say as fast as I can. And art's the same way. So you put headphones on and you play with the most small little things you have to paint. Very intricate little things. I put rock and roll, heavy metal music on. And she explained to me that keeps your mind's working 100 miles an hour, so you can actually concentrate. It puts my subconscious somewhere else, to where it's thinking of something else, so I can focus on that. And when I'm painting the big clouds and skies, I'm doing regular, nice music and calming music. It's interesting.
As opposed to what other kind of music?
Heavy metal for the fine, intricate stuff, and just nice, soft rock and roll, or just any kind of music, nice. And no, I'm not into. It all has to be kind of a rock and roll 70s type stuff. I'm not into the other stuff. But no, just kind of make your mind at ease, so you can do these long strokes and you're just going with the flow.
Can you tell me where that art puts you? Like what it brings to you?
It's kind of tough. I just enjoy doing it. And I get, sometimes in the beginning, not so much anymore, but I almost get emotional when I was painting.
And why is that?
I couldn't explain to you why. But standing back and looking at it, and you'd almost get emotional that you could create that.
So I want to go back from the art and tie that back into your motocross riding.
Okay.
Because you said that when you were in high school, you had those two options, right?
Right.
And of course you wanted to do motocross, because why would you want to do art, right? But then you started doing it, but then you went back into motocross again.
Right.
And it's another thing that
What's suffering
is a
right
flow
now?
is a flow state.
Right. Painting's not working. But I did stop to paint somebody really special in my life one in between.
And what was that?
These flowers on a surfboard, just saying. It's the only thing I've done in probably 5 years, 4 years.
That's a gift.
Stopped, okay, I gotta paint this. Painted it, now I'm back to racing.
And how did that make you feel when you stopped
It was cool.
to go back to it?
It was cool, actually. I might just finish the one I started for myself. I was thinking about that. Because I have the time. And I realized when I did that for that other person, that I could actually make the time to sit down and do it. Because I never thought about it. It's my studio just sat there empty.
What's stopping you? from finishing what you have going for yourself?
Sitting down and doing it. I had a lot of friends. I met a lot of people that they do art all the time, and they said, you go home or you go to your studio and you sit down and you give it an hour a day. Just give it an hour. If it doesn't work, then stop. Sometimes you're there for 5 or 6 hours and you don't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
It depends. You go with the flow. But if you sit down every day and you put an hour in, just to start, and you see where it goes.
Mm-hmm. So that goes back to flow
Mm-hmm.
and goes back to motocross riding.
Right.
How does that flow into your life? We're gonna, after this, I wanna just, one
Okay.
second, I want you to tell me about this, but then I wanna wrap things up.
The motocross is more mind over matter for me. It's something I have to learn. It's something I have to perfect for me. And I really get intense and really get involved in it. If I have to learn it, get it. And then there's going to be a point where I get bored with it. And then I'll move on to something else. I've done so many different things all my life, I can't stick with one thing. I'll get tired of it, bored with it, move on to something different. So I could learn it, challenge it, perfect it in my own mind, and then move on to another one. I got to keep challenged. I can never be satisfied. Hence, probably don't have a girlfriend.
Well, that's a lot of good stuff, honestly, that you just shared with me. Going back to looking at your mom,
Right.
and getting her where she needs to be, because that would probably take a lot of load off, like a lot of pressure off of your
Right.
mind and your heart, and getting her happy and settled. To knowing, like, how I think important community may be to you, and flow of, whether it's flow in your art or flow in your motorcycle riding, it's a thread of, I mean, flow is amazing, of flow in your life to go easily and nice, and just at the same time, like you said, getting bored. But I think that's just an amazing place to start.
No, I
to
did.
take.
What you might not remember is I did the thing for the veterans for 9 years straight. We've had 3,500 veterans every year at the hospital. We came up with the idea, started the idea, and pulled it off until COVID. And we went from 11 or 1,200 servings the first year to 3,500 in 2019. 2 bands, 2 stages, live bands at both. The critical care unit, we had a special acoustical sets, their own food. They got to run out in the gurneys or whatever they needed to do, and it was closed captioned on the inside of the hospital. Child play areas, Home Depots, everybody came out and did stuff. We had free haircuts for the guys, and I was one of the founding members. In fact, I'm still president of the corporation.
So it sounds like these guys are important to you, and
Yeah.
giving back to them is important to you.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And they asked me if I'd ever been in a war, and I said, no, I'm just giving back to the guys that did. And doing it at the hospital. I don't put invites out to anybody, just veterans in the neighborhood. I don't let anybody else know that we're doing it, because I don't want people there. Oh, this is for the people in the hospital who can't go anywhere. And they could bring, after the 2nd or 3rd year, it started to become an event for them.
Mm-hmm.
They'd invite their families, and then would have a place to be for 4th of July every year. The whole family, they'd stay all day. It was kind of cool to watch the whole thing develop into a family thing every year, until COVID killed it. We might pick it back up. I'm probably going to turn it over to somebody else.
Well, on that note, that's something that I'd like to pick up next time. Is why you want to turn that over to somebody else, because I see what a grateful heart you have, and just wanting to give back to these guys, because that's the reason we are,
Right.
why we are here, and the reason we are safe is
Right.
because of them. And thank you for doing that for them, because that's huge. I mean, that's huge. That's huge what you're doing. So.
And there's the biggest part between when I ran marathons and I got my motorcycles and I started doing other things, was I was doing that event. It takes 6 months a year, if not more, just the planning stages to do this.
Wow,
So
that's a neat thing.
that's fun.
It's really great. So within, that's, what we'll do next is, I'm gonna wrap it up for us, but I
Okay.
would love to sit down more. I would like to sit down and talk more about just those feelings of community with you. And maybe for next week, how about a homework assignment?
Okay.
Okay? Sit down for an hour. When you get home, when you get back home into the States, sit back down for an hour. Try doing that. I know that you're busy, your life is busy with work and everything, but carve out an hour of time out of your day. And even if you can't do it every day, maybe every 2 or 3 days. Maybe see if you can get in 2 or 3 times maximum
Right.
to sit down with the
And see
project
where
that
it
you're
goes,
working
yeah.
at and see where it goes and see where that flow takes you.
Right.
And think about that and what it's doing for you in your mind, you
Yeah,
know.
I thought about that. Yeah.
And
Because I
so-
realized I can make the time to do it.
exactly. And then we'll talk about that because I
Okay.
want to know more about that. I think that's going to be a big key, a big outlet that is going
Right.
to help and do a lot. It's going to be big. So
Okay.
I just want to thank you for your time, for sharing with me.
No worries.
It's awesome.